Evolution 2. What is happening with Evolution 2? Does anyone know at this point what's going on with Evolution 2? There's been a little bit of discussion over the last few days, and I think it's a good time to discuss this because for me, it's almost a non-topic at this point. Why have we not had Evolution 2 already? Why has it not been announced? The first one and the last one was in 2018, in October 2018, where less than a month away from October 2020 now, 2 years on, and we're still waiting for any form of announcement or discussion about a second event. And it's certainly something that's been picking up some steam over the last couple of days. We've seen numerous WWE superstars, Hall of Famers, employees come out and say, what's going on with Evolution 2? Now, this was also brought up by Beth Phoenix last night, NXT commentator, WWE Hall of Famer, one of the greatest WWE female superstars of all time. She tweeted out, quote, "It's been a minute, so, hashtag Evolution 2. This got a big response from numerous people in WWE, the most important being Robert Stone, of course, from NXT. I joke, of course, Robert Stone. But he did say, I'm the face of the women's division, Beth. I'm all for this. So, okay. But Mickie James got involved. Mickie James is the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship on Monday Night Raw. She said, I second this. I want to be involved. You even had the likes of NWA World Women's Champion Thunder Rosa get involved saying, where I want to watch it live. Everyone universally, this isn't just a talent thing. This isn't just a WWE superstar thing. Fans, the WWE universe, whatever you want to call them, fans want to see this too. Everyone wants to see this. Now, Sasha Banks, she was recently in an interview with Devon Dudley on his podcast, and she was asked, what's going on with Evolution 2? Do you want to see it again? And she spoke about her match that she had against, when she teamed up with Bayley and Natalya to face off against the Riot Squad. And she said, quote, "It was such a beautiful match for pay-per-view. Again, I never dreamt that would happen because you would never dream of women main eventing anything. But for all of these women coming together from the past, present, and future, it was such an inspiring and incredible pay-per-view that I'm like, where's number 2? Where is Evolution 2? We've been waiting for it, and I know the fans want it. I'm dying for it because you also saw a lot of matches you would never see before, and I think that's really awesome to see, especially as the women's division keeps on growing. And it's very, very true. Where is Evolution 2? Where is the discussion about Evolution 2? Where is anything about Evolution 2? And she carried on. She said, I mean, every time I go to NXT, I go down there to see how many women are down there. When I first started, there was legit 8. Now, maybe there's 20, 25, and we have a stacked roster. So I don't see why there could be any reason why we wouldn't have Evolution 2. I thought it was such an amazing pay-per-view, and I want it, so I know the fans want it as well. It's a good point. It's a great point. And these are legitimate questions. This isn't Sasha Banks trying to lobby because she wants to be in the main event. This is because the fans want to see the pay-per-view. There's no reason. There is literally no reason for them not to put it on right now. And the silence from WWE is becoming more and more deafening when it comes to Evolution 2. Now, a lot of people thought we were going to see Evolution 2 in 2019, but we didn't. Instead, we saw Crown Jewel during Evolution spot because Evolution in 2018 took place in October, and Crown Jewel, WWE Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, took place in November the following month. So the idea was being that at the time, because females could not compete in the Saudi Arabian pay-per-views, they would get a pay-per-view all to their own, and obviously a lot of people, myself included, roll their eyes at WWE talking about the women's movement and Evolution, and then they're having pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia where the females can't compete. Yeah, we'll discuss that in a second. But the idea of having a women's-only pay-per-view was a big thumbs up because it was a step in the right direction. So why in 2019 did we not get Evolution 2, but we still got Crown Jewel? Well, it was asked to Stephanie McMahon, and she responded that WWE at the time focused on putting on the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, which they did. They had Natalya go up against Lacey Evans. But to me, despite how important that match was, it wasn't enough not to warrant having a second Evolution pay-per-view that year. So during the interview with Devon Dudley, Sasha Banks was asked if she's heard any rumblings on the next edition of Evolution. She said, quote, I mean, have I heard rumblings? No, I haven't. Can we start rumblings? She also said, if I could choose anybody to face at that event, Trish Stratus, I would lose my mind. But honestly, there's so many people. Satomura from Japan, if we can bring her in from Japan, I would lose my mind. It could be anyone that I haven't wrestled before. I would love to have a singles match with them. So, again, like I just said, you notice there that Sasha Banks, who you'd like to think is a female superstar in WWE that's got well respected, very prominent. Not that she's going to be told everything about what's going to happen with Evolution 2, because I think those discussions are probably higher than her pay grade, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But I do think that it's interesting that nobody's heard any rumblings, nothing. And any rumblings that we have heard, that we'll touch on in a second, have been pure speculation at best, I think. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Support for WrestleNews 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favourite features about the lawnmower is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. Now, I touched on Stephanie McMahon's comments last year because she did an interview with Bleacher Report prior to Crown Jewel in 2019, and she was asked, where is Evolution? Because Evolution, like I said, was meant to take place in October. This was in November of 2019 for Crown Jewel. Stephanie McMahon said, quote, "We did consider it. A lot of our focus has been on having this particular match as part of the pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. More to come on Evolution, but it's most likely not going to happen in 2019. More to come? more to come. We're nearly a year later, and there's still nothing to come from those comments or the first pay-per-view of Evolution in general. Now, she was talking about that match between Natalya and Lacey Evans at Crown Jewel. Natalya was victorious in the first ever women's wrestling match to ever take place in Saudi Arabia. And like I said, it was very important. It was a big moment for women in the Middle East, I guess, and women's rights in the Middle East, and it was a massive PR story for WWE. Ultimately, that's what it came down to. It was a PR story. But for me, it wasn't enough to say, you're not gonna. This isn't. We're not gonna have Evolution 2 just because we have to have Natalya and Lacey Evans at Crown Jewel. That's not enough for me. That's not enough. Now, also, what was interesting is that the first year that they didn't have Ronda Rousey on the roster, they didn't have Evolution. A big driving force of having the first Evolution pay-per-view is that they had Ronda Rousey front and center during that event. She was a massive player for WWE at the time. She is a huge figure in wrestling, sports, MMA, whatever, huge star. But she was part of that first event, and obviously last year in October, she was not available because she hasn't been in WWE since WrestleMania 35. Now, she's been taking time off since WrestleMania 35, which is about 18 months now. But Stephanie McMahon asked how important Ronda Rousey was into opening the eyes and showing that women can draw when promoted in the right way. And Stephanie McMahon, and there's a reason for this quote I'm saying here, she said, quote, "I think Ronda was certainly a big part of that for sure. You can look at Serena and Venus Williams. You can look at a number of female athletes who have been making such significant strides in their respective industries. Ronda is being absolutely a huge part of that. Whenever you consider the history of what we call the women's evolution, starting with a hashtag that trended for 3 days worldwide in 2015 called hashtag Give Divas a Chance, which was specifically calling for better character development, better storylines, more athleticism from our women, which ultimately led to rebranding the Divas division to the women's division. It led to unveiling a new championship bout more akin to the men's but still feminine, announcing that our women would now be called superstars, the same as men, which then led to signing Ronda, our woman headlining and main eventing pay-per-views, including for the first time ever this past April, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch being the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania at MetLife Stadium in front of 80,000 people and breaking entertainment revenue records. That was history too. We can't make history again as part of Crown Jewel. A lot to unbreak there. I know it's a very long quote, but I think the important thing is the start of that first sentence there, where Stephanie McMahon basically says the reason that Evolution happened was because Ronda Rousey was a driving force behind that. Okay, that's great, but that was 2 years ago. So either you're saying you don't think any of your female WWE superstars are enough to drive this Evolution 2 pay-per-view and no one's on the level of Ronda Rousey, or Ronda Rousey was the reason you were pushing the women's division in the first place, because she's gone. She's been gone for 18 months and she doesn't look like she's coming back anytime soon. So what is your excuse? There isn't one. There isn't an excuse. And it makes you wonder. WWE loves to do firsts. They love to do all of these firsts that have happened during the women's evolution, and they've been great. And in the last year, or especially in 2020, I must say, it kind of feels like that slowed down, in my opinion. 2019 was a massive year for females. They didn't have the Evolution pay-per-view, which seemed very strange to me considering the year that they had in 2019. They main evented WrestleMania. They main evented Survivor Series. They main evented TLC. And they didn't have a women's only pay-per-view. As soon as Ronda Rousey wasn't a part of that, it's almost like the pay-per-view went off the table. Oh, we can't do anything without Ronda Rousey. Well, that's BS. Of course it's BS. Show some faith in your roster. Show some faith in the talent that you have and you've built up. Take a chance. People will go and people will watch. Now, we've only had 2 main events that have females involved in 2020 on the WWE roster, which was Elimination Chamber 2020, which came after Super Showdown. So it was almost like a version, I guess, of Evolution, but it wasn't really because I had men on the card, but you get my point. Technically, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view was main evented by the females because that was the 2 Money in the Bank matches happened side by side, but the closing shot was the Otis winning the Money in the Bank ladder match. So was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match really the main event there? I don't know. But apart from that, especially during this pandemic era, the Women have been heavily featured on Raw and SmackDown, right? Sasha Banks and Bayley have been one of the best things about those pandemic shows, and they've been fantastic, but they haven't been main event and pay-per-views, which seems very strange to me, very strange to me. Now, we had women main event and NXT TakeOver event this year for the first time since 2015. That was very overdue. That was an NXT TakeOver in your house with Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Charlotte Flair. Is that just because Charlotte Flair was there, though? It's a legitimate question. I think that can be asked. And you're looking at this women's division right now in WWE, and they are missing a lot of stars, big stars for them. Becky Lynch is obviously away. She's on maternity leave. Charlotte Flair is taking time away. She's undergone a few surgical procedures. It looks like Sasha Banks will be off TV for a while now, for the very least selling her injuries by the attack by Bayley. Ronda Rousey has been away for nearly 18 months. That WrestleMania 35 main event that they like to talk about between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey would be impossible to do right now. Which says a lot. They put all of their eggs in that basket of having Lynch, Flair, and Rousey, and they don't have any of them now, which is crazy. But still, any of those reasons to me aren't justifiable for not having an Evolution event as a yearly event and not having an Evolution event this year. You look at NXT this past week. The main event of NXT was Rhea Ripley versus Mercedes Martinez inside a steel cage, and it was brilliant. One of the best TV main events I've seen in a long, long time. One of the best women's matches I've seen in a while. That was well worthy of an Evolution pay-per-view match. That was, if you'd put that on as the main event of Evolution, I wouldn't have had a problem with it because the match was that good. Just because you've got names missing, big names missing, doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the event. Now, previously, and this has always been WWE's concern when it comes to women's only pay-per-views, they always looked at tickets. Will the event draw? They had it in the Nassau Coliseum last time, and they were always concerned, are we going to sell out tickets? So, are we going to sell out the arena? Will the event draw without the men? Will the event draw with just female talents? And now they'll be worried, maybe with the likes of Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey out, would the event draw without the big names? Well, first of all, it sold tickets before, so I think that argument can go straight in the bin. Secondly, you're in a pandemic right now. Use what you have. Use the environment that you have. Use the pandemic, if you can, as a positive. Now, you don't have to worry about selling tickets because you're not selling any. Use the ThunderDome. You can't have any fans come to the show, so you don't have to worry about, are we going to sell the building out, because there aren't going to be any fans there anyway. You might as well. You've got less of an excuse than ever to do this event. Now, the excuse of in 2019, well, we're not going to have Evolution because what was so important was the Crown Jewel female match, was just a PR spin by Stephanie McMahon and total BS. In reality, it wasn't because the Crown Jewel match was their prime focus. In reality, it was, we don't have Ronda Rousey. We don't believe that our female roster can draw. It was a lack of faith in the female roster. That's exactly what it was. And yes, it was a very important match to have. And I do think it's going to be looked back on a moment that's very pioneering, and WWE loves to talk about it, and having that match in the Middle East and trying to improve female rights over there is very, very important. But I don't think it was a reason not to have Evolution 2. If WWE wanted to promote themselves as this company all about equality and giving divas a chance, they would have done both. And they didn't do it because they didn't think they could draw without having Ronda Rousey. That's ultimately what it comes down to. And WWE loves to talk about their women's evolution, but they still have that Saudi deal. So it shows in reality where WWE's true priorities lie, and that's their bank account. Don't get that confused. Never get that confused. Now, previously, some people will use the pandemic as an excuse for not having Evolution 2 in 2020, but that's just an excuse. Sasha Banks said it in an interview, and then those quotes I said to you earlier on. You've got a women's roster on Raw and SmackDown and NXT that is absolutely stacked with talent. Now, before this video started, I did a little bit of counting about the active talents on each brand in WWE right now. So I'm not including Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey that are inactive right now. These are just the active female superstars on each brand. So you have 12 active female superstars on Monday Night Raw. You have 10 active female superstars on Friday Night SmackDown. You have 21 active female superstars in NXT. You have 10 active female superstars in NXT UK. I know that's slightly different. Travel restrictions, quarantine, self-isolations, etc. But if you add in 5 or 10 legends that could easily perform at the event, potentially you have a pool of 63 female active talents to choose from for Evolution 2 in 2020. And still, WWE's main concern is that they don't have enough to run the pay-per-view. BS. Absolute BS. You don't have to worry about tickets. You don't have to worry about talent. You don't have to worry about the building. Do the pay-per-view. Do the pay-per-view. Fans want to see it. It'd be a boost to morale, if anything. The talent wants it. The fans want it. Who doesn't want it? What do WWE have to lose here, apart from credibility, which they're rapidly losing the longer and longer they go without doing it? Now, back in the summer, there were previously reports that WWE were considering it. There were reports that it could happen in August after SummerSlam. Well, that's come and gone, so that wasn't true or hasn't happened. Now, many figures within the company have said to believe that the event having Evolution 2 is a no-brainer, given the goodwill it generates. And female figures within the company are pushing for it to happen, meaning we could get another all-women spectacular before the year is done. Amid the chaos caused by the global pandemic and the havoc that it's wreaked on WWE and just live events in general, it would certainly at the very least be a morale booster for women and for the entire company. So again, it's just more reasons to do it and more reasons for not to delay it. And it's just very strange. It's very strange. And maybe, look, who knows? Maybe WWE can come out and say, well, there were plans for it in 2020, but the pandemic changed that. Well, you've changed about 1 million things on the fly this year anyway. I don't think it's hard to do another show. Now, does it have to be in the ThunderDome? No. Do it at the WWE Performance Center. Do it at Full Sail University. You have options here. You absolutely have options here. But it just feels like WWE at this point is finding more reasons to not do it than do it. And to me, that's very, very confusing. I don't understand it. I don't get it. The schedule right now in WWE is lighter than ever. It's believed by many inside the company now's the perfect time to do it and prove once again that the females can draw even without fans. Prove that it can be the highest viewed thing on the network for the next couple of months, whatever. I don't understand, and I don't buy any of these reasons that WWE try and say or try and imply about not having Evolution 2. So maybe we'll hear something in the next month or so, but there isn't much longer left in the year. I mean, the first one was in October of 2018. By this point in 2018, the event was announced, so I don't think it's going to happen in October. Maybe as we get towards the end of the year, it could happen. But I think WWE by then will start focusing on trying to get fans back in the arenas for the likes of the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So I do have my worries. But hopefully they'll prove me wrong, and hopefully we'll get a Evolution 2 in the near future. But what are your thoughts? Would you like to see Evolution 2 return? What are your thoughts on WWE not putting on Evolution 2 as of yet? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. It really just helps out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos before. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to WrestleNews 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.